2022, the television show Love on the Spectrum US debuted on Netflix. It's a reality show where 7 adults with autism dive headlong into a dating group to explore the unpredictable world of romance, as well as tackling misconceptions about themselves and how they want to live. For me, it's the only reality show that I have seen that does not seem scripted. All of the adults are great, but for me, the breakout star definitely had to be James B. Jones. So he took time out of his extremely busy schedule to come on my show to talk about his time in Love on the Spectrum and much more. James, welcome to the Claws Corner. How are you?
Yes, I am doing very well today, Rich. Very happy to be here. How are you doing today?
I am doing extremely well myself. And I have to say, as soon as I mentioned that you were going to be on the show, so many people have been messaging me. When's it going to be on? I can't wait to see it.
Great.
I loved it. I have to, first of all, I'm going to thank my friend Catherine. I'm sure she's watching once it comes out. And she told me about this show. She goes, Rich, you're going to love it. I became addicted immediately. And as I mentioned, you were my favorite person on the show. I love all the other ones too, but for some, because you and I, we're going to talk about this later. Like you and I have a lot of commonalities, a lot of similar interests, which I want to talk about. But before we do that, I want to talk about how you got started on Love on the Spectrum. Did they approach you, or did you reach out to them, and did you have to audition?
Yes. Well, first, okay, so the show originally is from Australia. It was produced by an Australian film studio called Northern Pictures or Northern Productions. I can't remember what the exact name of the studio is, but yes. So the show actually had 2 seasons in Australia. So I watched the 2 seasons of the Australian version with a friend on Netflix. And then, so when we watched the original Australian version of the series, I could sympathize or empathize with the character. Sorry, no, with the cast members, with the people on the show. I understood what they were going through. I felt for them. What they'd been through, I had been through. So I knew exactly what they were feeling, exactly what it must be like for them. So yes, I knew exactly what it was like for them. So when I heard that there was going to be an American version of the series, I knew I just had to audition for it. Yes, I could not miss this opportunity. So yes, I did. So I went online. I found out how to audition for the show. And yes, I sent in. They simply asked. They asked any person who wished to audition for just send in a brief description or biography of yourself with a photograph. So I did that, and of course they said they would let me know. They would get back to me, and they did. So they contacted me. They asked if I would be willing to do an interview or an audition, I guess you could call it, through Zoom, because at the time that I sent in my application or I auditioned for it, the COVID-19 pandemic was still at its worst. So I had 2 interviews I had 2 interviews via Zoom. Then I had a 3rd interview in person. They actually came to my house to interview me. So at that point, I was certainly feeling very hopeful, because I imagine they would not have gone through all the effort, all the trouble having a 3rd interview at my house unless they were seriously considering me. So yes, I was very excited when they told me that when they said to me that they actually wanted me to be on the show. I was nervous, of course, but still, though, I was very excited. My excitement for appearing on the show was obviously much greater than my nervousness or my anxiety about it. As my parents were a little bit uncertain about them filming at our house at first, but thankfully they were okay. I mean, both my parents are a little bit camera shy compared to me, but thankfully they're okay. They handled it just fine. It was great. It was absolutely a wonderful experience, without a question.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I love your parents. I watched them on the show. They seem to warm up to the camera very quickly.
Yes,
They seem to embrace the show.
Yes, many people said they really like my parents. I'm glad for that. I'm very glad people like my parents. I love them. I love my parents very much. They've helped me out. They've done so much for me. So yes, I'm very, very glad that there are people who like my parents. Yes.
As I mentioned in the intro, and I want to get your opinion on this, because I mentioned that a lot of reality shows, even though they say it's reality, most of it isn't. It's mostly scripted, and they.
Oh yes, you can clearly tell.
Yes, but this show does not seem like that at all. Everybody on the show seems very genuine. It almost seems like they don't even realize the cameras are there. I know you know the cameras were there, but question I have for you is it them just going into your house and filming, and whatever happens, happens?
For the most part, yes. I mean, every so often, maybe just on a rare occasion, the director will prompt someone to say something or ask her a question. But no, other than that, it is entirely unscripted. At least I am of the opinion is completely genuine. Obviously, I never witnessed the filming of any of the other cast members, but yes, for me, definitely, they give us quite free reign or a great amount of leeway to say whatever we wish to say. I like that very much. I believe it really allows the audience to get a really good feel, a good glimpse into the lives of the cast members. It really allows us to show who we are. Yes, I really like that very much about how yes it is unscripted. We yes we're allowed to speak very freely. I like that very much.
Yeah. What I love is that, as you mentioned, you're allowed to speak very freely, but most other reality shows, they play up to the camera. They notice the cameras are there. So for you, did it take a while to get used to the cameras being in your house, or after a while did you just go on living your normal life and forget all about everything was there?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. It's not like they were filming every day. They weren't filming us. They'd come over because they were filming numerous cast members across the country. They obviously had to film. Yes, so they had to divide their time between filming. But for the first two seasons, I've been the only cast member in the New England area. So yes, that's not too bad. They came out here just specially for me.
Wow.
And yes, because in the first season there were three cast members in Los Angeles. Then wait, hold on, three in Los Angeles, one San Francisco, one in North Carolina, and then me all the way up in New England. So yeah, that's not too bad actually. And even in the second season, however, they had three new cast members. Actually, one was in Chicago, so she's also a bit far out apart from the others. But the other two new cast members in the second season were in I forget, they were in Florida and Georgia. Oh, they were also down south. So
Yeah.
yes, really for much of the first two seasons, like so yeah. For the first season, so Journey and I are the two cast members who are quite far removed geographically from all the others. The others are all highly concentrated. Like I said, we have three in Los Angeles, one in San Francisco, so that's pretty close. Then we have three in the southern states. So but yeah, no. Wait, I'm sorry. Actually, wait. What was your original question, please? That prompted my answer.
No, that's fine. What I was asking was, did you forget about the cameras after a while?
Oh,
And did you just go on with your normal life? Because
oh
I
yes,
said most
true.
reality shows, they play up to the camera.
Oh
And
yes,
you just did the opposite. I could tell you were just, those were genuine emotions, those were
absolutely.
genuine
Yes, thank you.
feelings. When you were mad, you were mad. When you
Oh
were happy, you
yes,
were happy. So I
right.
love that. And
Yes, thank you. I asked them not. I actually asked them not to include the scene where I couldn't was worried about losing my checkbook, but they did anyway. But I guess it's not that bad. I guess it really helped me show multiple emotions. So that wasn't too bad.
yeah,
Yes, and although you actually mentioned at the beginning, you did actually at the beginning mention seven adults. Actually, in the first season there were six cast members. Then in the second season they added three new cast members, but not all the members from the first season returned. So actually, oh yeah, that reminds me of something else. Yes, that was something else I want to mention. So I asked the director how many people auditioned for the series, and he said several thousand people auditioned. So that
wow.
is that's really impressive. I'm glad to know there are that many people who have autism or other forms of neurodiversity who are interested in appearing on the series. And I must say, the fact that I was one of six people chosen for the first season out of several thousand who auditioned is very impressive. I really feel that's pretty lucky. I feel great that they actually chose me out of all the people who auditioned. I was one of the six they chose. That's really something.
Yeah, congratulations. And
Yes, thank you.
I'm so glad that you're on the show. And I have to say, I'm glad they included the checkbooks. I thought that was just hilarious. It shows you being you, but also the other
Yes, thank
scene,
you.
and I definitely related to this, and I want to tell you why when I mentioned my other favorite scene, is when your mother was talking about having a pet, and you're like, ugh, and you said, but the dog loves you, it kisses you. I'd rather have a human do that. And your motto has always been no pets and no children. And that's exactly how I feel, and I know exactly
Oh,
what you mean.
oh, good.
I
Thank you.
love children as long as they don't call me daddy. I love dogs, I love cats, as long as I don't have to take care of them. So I
Right, I
completely
understand.
understand.
Yes, my brother and his wife have two children. They also have a pet. The way they have a dog and two cats. So yes, I totally understand. Yes, I have no problem seeing them. Yes, whenever I visit them, I have no problem with their pets or their children. But yes, I don't feel it's a very major responsibility. I
Oh
just do
yeah.
not feel I could handle that responsibility myself.
No, I completely agree,
Yes,
and I've
although,
always had that mentality, and that's why I'm engaged right now, and I do have a
oh, good,
fiance.
good.
Um, but I just do not want kids, and I never ever
I
wanted them,
understand.
and I'm so glad that I always knew that I didn't
True.
for the
Yes,
same
I've
reasons.
known. Yes, I made that decision fairly early in my life that I did not wish to have children. Yes.
Well, which brings me to my next point, because
Okay.
at the end of season two, it says that you're dating a single mum.
Oh,
So what changed your mind about dating a single
oh,
woman?
well, let me see. Okay, I met her online and she seemed very nice. We were just conversing online, and yes, we discovered we had much in common. So yes, we agreed to meet in person. Yes, we were together. We were dating for several months from about April to October of last year. She was really nice. We really got along. We really enjoyed each other's presence. The thing, so I thought perhaps I could make it work. So I thought maybe I'll give it a chance and see how it works out. And then ultimately, I decided that no, it wasn't going to work. I realized I never met her children, so and was it so yeah, everything was good first, but I realized I made this. I felt that it would eventually be a problem. It would be well, no, sorry, it would be an issue later on. It was sooner or later I'd have to address it. So I realized I just had to. It was not an easy decision. I did not make the decision lightly. This is probably one of the most difficult decisions I have ever made, but I do feel that it was ultimately the best decision for everyone involved. That yes, I had to end the relationship. Yes, again, it wasn't easy. It really hurt me emotionally to do it, but yes, I had to do it. But as I said, so no, she was wonderful. Obviously, yes, we really, she and I really enjoyed spending time with each other. We had a lot in common. We really enjoyed conversing with each other. But yes, it wasn't going to work out, unfortunately.
How old
Sometimes
were
that happens.
how old were her kids, or are her kids?
Um, Let me see. They were what is it? Her children were 10 and 12. I think
Okay,
she was maybe a year younger than me at most. So
yeah.
um, uh, it's not like they were really young. Their children were already in double digits of age. So I don't know. I suppose I am wondering, could it have worked out? It could possibly have worked out, but I don't know. I just don't think it. No, as I said, I know I can't handle, even if they're not my own children. I just don't think I can handle it. So uh,
No, no,
yeah, no, again, I do. It was not an easy decision to make, but I do feel it was the best decision for everyone involved.
yeah, no, I agree. You just like me, you know exactly what you want and what you don't want, and you made the right decision. Never ever second guess that. I want to talk about, well, actually, I want to talk about that because you said that she reached out to you. Being on the show, did it make it easier for you to meet women?
Yes, actually,
All right.
yes, it's not like I did have a few girlfriends before the show, but nothing super serious. Well, I see, wait, oh no, of course, you probably heard me mention this numerous times. There was a woman I met a while back who I was so certain was the one for me, and she wasn't. So that was the first time. Yes, she was the first woman for whom I ever had strong feelings. And of course, naturally, that was also the first time I ever experienced crushing heartbreak. But that was actually years ago. It's well in the past. I'm over it now. But so let me see. So, yes, as I said, there were a few women in whom I was interested before I appeared on the show, but nothing serious. But no, actually, appearing on Love on the Spectrum absolutely has been, has really helped me out so much. Yes, I've been getting a lot more communication from women ever since I appeared on the series. So that's a good thing. I'm very glad for that.
All right. Well, I want to talk about some of the women that you did meet that were on the show anyway. The first woman in season one was Emma.
Correct.
Was that set up from the show, or did she reach out to you first?
No, they set that up through the show. Actually, when they were filming for the series, they specifically asked me to, to not have any contact with women, or more likely not to meet any women in person. If I had any communication with women that seemed to be going well while filming is in progress, actually have that woman contact the producer about potentially appearing on the series. So, yes. So, what is it? Um, but yes. So I don't think that ever actually happened for the first two seasons, but we'll just have to. Um, but yes, but anyway, so but yeah, but no, it was. But yes, but no, it still went very well. Yes. Um, Actually, I have to admit that woman who I was dating for a few months back last year, I did contact me actually right in the middle of filming. So perhaps I could have asked her if she'd be interested in appearing on the series, but I never did do that. So, but yes, so but but well, maybe for future occasion, I'll keep that lesson in mind for future occasion.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And
Yes.
there's gonna be plenty of them. I mean, come on, James, you have your very own James B. Jones action figure.
Yes, that was pretty cool. Yes, that was quite a surprise. But yeah, of course, I contacted the person who made it, and actually, he said he made only two, one for himself, one for me. So of course, he sent one to me. Actually, I was a featured guest at a convention recently, and the man who made the action figure, and whose name I unfortunately can't recall, brought in his copy, his figure to have me autograph the packaging, which I did. So that was pretty cool.
Is that the one that I met you at in Natick?
No, no, it's a different convention. Oh, yes, I no, I appeared at two conventions up, or prior to that, I appeared at one convention March, one in May. There was two instances of the New England's Toy and Record Show. Yes, so yeah, I yes, so that was the one that we met in Natick was the third time I've been a featured guest at convention, so it's not too bad actually.
How do you like them?
Oh yes, I've enjoyed. Well, I've been attending conventions for years now, but yes, I've only recently have I been a featured guest at convention. It's pretty cool, actually. I really like it. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm trying not to let go to my head. I'm trying to stay humble, obviously, but yes, I don't mind the attention. I would not have auditioned for the series if I did not believe I could handle all the attention.
Oh yeah, no, it seems like you're handling it very well. I saw you at the convention a couple weeks ago, Super Mega Fest it was called in Natick,
Yes.
Mass. Loved it, had a great time, and
Oh, it was great.
you were so gracious to the fans. Everybody was going up to you. They were so
Absolutely.
friendly. So it was just, I personally myself love going to conventions as well. For me, I love horror movies. I think you're also a fan of horror movies. And I
Yes.
started off years ago going to the Fangoria, which is a magazine, I'm
Ooh.
sure you know. And then it turned into the Chiller convention, which Chiller, I'm sure you love the old Hammer movies, the old movies with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Oh yes.
Well, they
Yes.
used to have the intro had the hand coming out of the grave. Well, that became a convention, that whole Chiller series. But now
Well.
it's more pop culture. I've met people like the cast from WKRP in Cincinnati, the cast from Saved by the Bell, but then also horror
Ooh.
movies. I've met Christopher Lee. I met Roddy
Oh
McDowell.
wait, seriously?
Yeah, this was
Oh
years
wow,
ago.
that is so amazing. I wish I never met I dearly wish I could have met him. That would have been great.
Oh yeah, no, he was very quiet because this was 1990 when I first met him, and he was very quiet, but he was very old, but very gracious, very nice, and shook my hand, and everything. So that he is one of my all-time favorite Draculas. I love Bela Lugosi. I love some of the other ones later on, but Christopher Lee, growing up, he was the scariest Dracula for me.
Yes. Yes.
Well, also you mentioned something on the show, and I want to talk about because the second girl you met was Jasmine. Now she
Jasmine,
reached
yes.
out to you through Instagram, so she
Correct.
found you, and I thought that was going very well until she wanted kids, and I don't blame you. You made the right decision. You said that's not for me. Good luck.
Mhm.
But mentioned something to her, and I was laughing because I one of my favorite actors is Vincent Price, and I heard you
Ooh.
mention that your favorite actor is Vincent Price as well.
Yes, yes, I'm very fond of Vincent Price. Yes, I've seen many of his movies. I have quite a few of them on home video. Yes, he absolutely one of my favorite actors without a question.
What's your favorite movie of his?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. So many good ones, but definitely, I don't know if I could choose just one, but The Pit and the Pendulum is
Yes.
absolutely one of his best. Amazing, great movie without a question. Very, very good. Let me see what else. Oh, The House on Haunted Hill, of course, is a
Hmm.
good one. But what else? Yes, The Fly is pretty good. Or wait, what was it on? Oh, The Fall of the House of Usher was excellent,
Yes.
and Theater of Blood was also an excellent. And of course, the two Dr. Flies movies. But no, yeah, like I said, I couldn't possibly choose one, but. I don't know. I think most likely The Pit and the Pendulum, but yeah, he had so many good movies. It's hard to choose just one.
Oh yeah. Well, what's funny? I interviewed his daughter Victoria,
Oh,
and
excellent.
we did probably a 2.5 hour conversation all
Oh,
about the life of Vincent Price. That guy was I had not realized what a Renaissance man he was. He wrote books on cooking. He was very much into art. He loved acting. He loved comedy. I mean, look, he was in the Brady Bunch. he was
really?
Yeah, there's an episode where they go to Hawaii and he's the crazy guy that's in the cave. It's if you like the Brady Bunch,
Oh,
check it out. He's definitely
interesting. I
yeah,
know he actually was a villain on the '60s Batman television series.
yes. I forgot
Yes.
about that one.
Oh, what else? And as long as since we mentioned Vincent Price, oh yes, the band Deep Purple wrote a song about Vincent Price.
Wait, what song was that?
Oh, that's literally what it's called. It's called Vincent Price. It's from one of their newer albums. Actually, no, from I think it was from an album they released back in 2013. Now the album was called Now What, and yes, Vincent Price was one of the songs on that album. Seriously, so that's pretty cool.
I gotta check that out. I never heard that. You
Oh
gotta check
yeah.
that out. And when I was watching this show, I noticed something that you have the Universal horror stamps.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I wanted the reason I bring that up was because the person that created that, he drew them, put them all together, made it. His name is Cortland Hull. He lives not too far from here, probably about 20 minutes away, and he has a museum called the Witch's Dungeon. I've been over there many times.
Ooh, I've never heard that place. That's probably something I should check out. The Witch's Dungeon. Where is that?
It's in Bristol. Well, actually, it was in Bristol, Connecticut. Now it's in Plainville, Connecticut, which is maybe 10 minutes away. It's definitely worth the drive. He does all these wax figures, but it has Dr. Phibes, once again, Vincent Price. It has
Wait,
Dracula, it has Nosferatu, which is another one of your favorites.
yes.
So you would definitely check it out. After the interview's over, I'll give you some information on where it is. It's really cheap, but it's worth it. It's a
Good. I'll have to keep in mind. Well, once when Halloween approaches later this year, I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Yeah, they have it every weekend. It's every weekend in October, but I think they expanded it so it's all year now. But the best time to go is in October, because then they'll show all the older horror movies while you're walking through the museum, and then they put the spotlight on each of the wax figures and they talk about the movie and who he is.
Nice.
It's definitely great. I love all that stuff.
That's right. There's a similar museum in Salem, or Salem, Mass, of course, called Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery.
Oh,
I went there once. It was excellent. I definitely hope to wouldn't mind going there again at some point.
I got you. I've been to Salem many times. The best time was I went on Halloween night a couple of years ago. It was, I mean, for Salem, that's like their Christmas, Halloween night.
Yes.
And
Oh yeah.
Halloween,
There was like there's I frankly I mean I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I personally think that Salem is the Halloween capital of the world. I mean I don't think there's any city in the world more associated with Halloween and the horror than Salem. At least that's how I feel about it. Yes, I went there. Yes, on Halloween in 2015. Halloween was on a Saturday, so I went there. Yes, it was so awesome. It was wonderful. And Halloween was on a Saturday in 2020, but the pandemic ruined that. So.
yeah. And I went there probably about, it was 2019, right before COVID, but I've been there many times and I definitely want to go. I didn't check out that museum, so I'm going to check that one out. I've been to was it the House of Seven Gables and the Witches Museum, I think it's called.
Of course.
There's so many great places. So another thing I want to talk about that we have in common on your YouTube channel. I love your YouTube channel. I want to talk about some of the things that you discuss.
Wait. Oh yeah. Well, actually, wait. Hold on. Before you say, I do need to mention. I actually, at this moment, I do not have a YouTube account. If their videos, that's an imposter. Like wait, I have. Wait. I do have an Instagram account. That account is officially 100% me. But right now, I do not have accounts on either TikTok or YouTube. So I'm actually probably going to make official accounts on both those platforms just so I can try to stop the imposters. So that they can stop you stealing. They'll stop stealing my videos because obviously people want an account that wants to go to accounts genuinely mine. So yes, at some point I'm definitely going to make accounts on both those platforms. But yes, anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying now about me on being on social media?
Well, no, I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube and I thought you had a YouTube channel. So I'm sorry that that's happening to you and hopefully you can stop that. But what I wanted to mention is that you were talking about animation. And one of the things, and I didn't think anybody I knew besides myself, loved that movie was Heavy Metal. And you said that is a great cartoon made in
Yes.
1981. Has music by Sammy Hagar, Black Sabbath with Ryan James Dio. The animation is
Blue Oyster Cult
fantastic.
is in it as well. Yes. So.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, no, great movie. Yes, it's a cult classic. I mean, it's obviously not going to be. It's obviously not mainstream like any Disney movies. But yes, no, I think it's an excellent movie. I was actually in my 20s. I was probably I think it was in my late 20s. Right? So I wish I'd seen it years earlier. But no, I still saw it. I actually have it. I actually have it in 4K in ultra high definition. But great movie. I'm a little sad. Didn't kick off a franchise. I mean, they made a sequel 19 years later in 2000, but the sequel was okay, but didn't live up to the original. and there hasn't been a new one since. I'm only annoyed more times past now since the second one came out between the first two. But well, wait, there was a movie a few years ago. There was a movie called Spine of Night that's basically a spiritual successor to Heavy Metal. Plus, there's a series on Netflix called Love, Death, and Robots that also could be considered a spiritual successor to Heavy Metal. But yes, the original is. I think the original is a masterpiece. I think it's a cult classic without a question.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you and I definitely have very similar interests when it comes to movies and music. We're going to talk about that
Yes.
later. But I want to get back to Love on the Spectrum because
Okay.
I mentioned you met Emma season one.
Yes.
You're still friends with her, or you were
Yes.
recently. Met Jasmine was the second
Jasmine.
one. Did you ever keep in touch with her?
Actually, no. I said to her I'd be glad to keep in touch with her, still be friends if she wished, but she hasn't. But I am still in contact with Maggie, though. Yes, Maggie and Emma. I'm still in contact with both of them, thankfully.
Yep. And the last one was in season two. You met Maggie,
Maggie, correct.
and what happened with that?
Hmm.
Because it ended.
Well, I thought things were going pretty well. At the end, after the filming wrapped up, finished for season two, it seemed like Maggie was possibly interested in the idea of a serious relationship. But then later, after the filming had finished, she and I met one on one at a restaurant just for dinner after work, and that's where she said she just wasn't feeling like a spark of romance or anything. That was very unfortunate. I was disappointed. I was displeased, of course, but at that point, of course, at that point I'd already I built up. I mean, I was growing accustomed to it. I built up more of an emotional tolerance, so it didn't hurt too much. So, thankfully, she and I are still friends, which is nice.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, that was the time when you were at King Richard's Fair, if I
No,
remember correctly.
wait. We actually wait a minute. Well, no, King Richard's Fair would not allow us to film. Most unfortunately,
Ah,
that was the season one. So we went to the New York Renaissance Fair in New York, in Tuxedo, New York. Actually, that was Emma and I. We had a great time there. I hope to go back. That was back in, actually, we went there in 2021. So it's been 3 years. I'm hoping to go back there this year just so I can go again. Yes, I wouldn't mind going there again. That's because we really did not get to see too much of the fair. The film crew kind of rushed us through it, actually. So I would like to go again at some point.
yeah, yeah. No, I did. I'm sorry, I did get that confused. But the reason I brought that up because I love that. I love medieval times. I love
Yes.
Renaissance. And I was going to ask you, in New Jersey, there's something called medieval times. Have you ever been there?
No, what is that?
It's very similar to the what I saw on the television show, but what they have jousting and you bet against which team's going to win, and they have food for you, but you can't use any utensils because back then they didn't have utensils, and for me, it's really not that much of a change if you know who I am. So it's a great time, and it reminded me so much of the fair that you went to in New York.
Ah,
So if you like that, you would definitely love that. And if you're, as I know, New Jersey is not too far from where you live,
okay.
maybe a couple hours away, I think. So I would definitely check that out if you like that.
Absolutely, definitely.
All right, so I want to talk about Love on the Spectrum. You think it ended in season two. Is there going to be a season three for you?
Yes. So there will be a third season that has been publicly announced, so I can speak about it. But that's all I can say. I'm sorry. I wish I could say more, but no, that's all I can say right now is that there will be a third season.
Well, that just means you have to come back on the Claws Corner and talk about it.
That's my hope. Yeah. So let me see. Well, a lot of people were saying if you're not on the third season, we won't watch it. So of course I appreciate that sentiment. Of course I said to them, no, please watch it anyway. But yes, I'm glad. I certainly appreciate. I'm glad for their support. So that's good.
Well, you can add me to that list. If you're not on it, I'm not watching.
Ha! Right.
I want to go back to James B. Jones, the early years. I want to talk about that. You growing
Okay.
up. So, how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was, I think my age had just entered double digits. Actually, I don't know, I was maybe 10 or 11. And by coincidence, that's right around the time when I started wearing glasses also. So yes, I'm very glad I was diagnosed at such a young age. So my parents were able to get the help that they needed because for grades 1 through 4, I was in normal mainstream schools, but I was doing well enough academically, but not so much socially. So my parents realized that the curriculum was not suited for me. We need to find a school program that had a curriculum that was suited for me. So I said it was right around that time that I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome or autism or whatever. But so yes, so after that, for when it was time to start middle school, 5th grade, we started looking around for other for special education that would suit me. Yes, we did look around. We found a program. I was there for middle and high school, grades 5 through 12. It was so helpful. In addition to learning the normal academic subjects, we learned all about social interaction, how to, properly, how to interact with people, how to recognize emotion, how to recognize certain situations, and so forth. It was great. I'm so glad I had that help, because I might not be where I am now if I did not have that help. So it was great. And, I had to say, so when I was younger, during the 90s, the society did not have a strong understanding, did not have a thorough understanding of neurodiversity. So yes, I am old enough that I can remember a time before it was well understood. So yes, so the people who were neurodiverse were sadly did not get the help they need. They were just people such as myself were just put together with students who had much more severe neurological conditions. So yes, like Down syndrome, for instance. So yes, it was not good. We didn't have a program suited for us, but my parents searched around until we found something. And yes, I don't want to brag, or I hope I'm not misremembering or being inaccurate, but I do think that I am one of the earliest students who had a program specifically intended for students with Asperger's syndrome, autism, or similar neurological conditions.
Wow, you're a real pioneer. I like that.
Yes, definitely.
Well, what is the difference between Asperger's and autism?
Oh, I'm not entirely certain. That's the thing. I'm actually not certain if the term Asperger's syndrome is even used anymore. I mean, it
Okay.
was when I was first diagnosed. Yes, that was the term that they used. No, I believe it may have changed over time. At first, I believe Asperger's syndrome was considered part of the autism spectrum, but now I'm not so sure. Now I'm not certain if it's a completely similar yet separate condition, or I'm actually not entirely certain. Actually, so I don't. I'll have to look it up at some point, but I believe that neurodiverse is the all-encompassing term. So yes, because ADHD is also similar. ADHD is not part of the autism spectrum. It's similar. They absolutely can and do overlap, but they're not quite the same. So yes, I've been using the term neurodiverse or neurodiversity much more frequently, yes, to encompass a great number of neurological conditions.
Okay. Yep. That definitely explains it for me. Now I know that that was probably what they were calling it back then, and now it's more autism and what you just said. So the question is, did they misdiagnose you?
I don't believe so. So my parents did wonder if I may possibly have ADHD,
Hmm.
because yeah, sometimes I do have difficulty paying attention, or I lose focus, or I get excited easily. But I do not believe that I do. No, I have autism, and I don't believe, I do not have ADHD. I mean, sometimes my symptoms may seem like ADHD, but I don't actually have it. Although I don't know, maybe I should get myself tested again. It's been years since I was diagnosed. Maybe I should be tested again. But I do have a few friends, some friends who I met through that special program do indeed have ADHD, but I myself do not. At least I do not believe that I do.
Hmm. All right. As I mentioned, I was watching your YouTube videos, and you have many, many strong opinions, which
Oh,
I agree with 100% on
okay,
everything I've
good,
seen so
good.
far. So I want to talk about some of that, because the first one, and we have to make this happen. I love your idea of this. Tell my viewers about the 32-hour work week.
Oh yes, yes. We definitely are working far too many hours per week without a question. So the thing is, though, a century ago, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, people would work 60 or more hours per
Mhm.
week. It was ridiculous how many hours per week people worked. So I get a combination of advancing technology and labor unions, but mostly labor unions, mind you, gave us the 40-hour work week. So that's become the standard now. So that's good. And so my hope is that we can eventually see a further reduction in working hours, because it's ridiculous. 40 hours is just too much now. With technology being as advanced as we do not need to work that many hours. We should not be. I feel people are just tired and worn out. We just don't have enough time for fun stuff. And the thing is, so we need labor unions. Hold on, careful. I don't want to get into heavy. I don't want to start talking politics and propaganda, mind you. but we need labor unions. We need to protect the rights of the workers. So we need to have a further reduction of work hours. Some companies, some places are experimenting with a 32-hour work week. So you'd be working Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and that's good. It's a step in the right direction. But the problem is you're still working 8 to 5. That's the problem. So I'd have no problem working Monday through Friday if it was shorter hours. Like I'm very much of the opinion we should work Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That'll give us plenty of time. We don't have to worry about getting to bed early in that night and getting up early in the morning. Yeah, we would solve that problem. That's the main issue. I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get to work. I used to get up at 6, but now I have a longer commute, so I get at 5. I can't stand it. If we could work 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., I wouldn't have to. I'd have a lot more time for sleeping. I wouldn't have to get up so early or worry about getting to bed early either. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. Plus, if you get more sleep, you're going to be more productive. You're not going to be as tired.
Yes, we'll be more productive. So yeah, that's what I think is that we've seen we have clear evidence when companies had shorter work weeks with fewer hours, employees were much happier and more productive. And of course, obviously the important part is no reduction in salary. Obviously, I mean, if you work fewer hours, you get an increase your hourly rate to keep up for it. But yeah, a lot of people don't seem to understand part. A lot of people think you'd be earning less money if you work fewer hours. But so yeah, that's the part we need to get more people on board. We have to make it spread. We have to get the idea to catch on, and we obviously can't have people trying to, some people are fighting back. Some people, so, again, I gotta be careful what I say. Gotta be careful what I speak, or I don't want to get into heavy political talks, but it seems to be some people like having power over the workers. They don't want them having free time. So we can't let them get away with that. We need to make strong workers make a strong economy. That's how I feel about it. Yes, at least that's what I think.
Well, I completely agree with you. And
Good.
I know you don't want to get political, but let me be the first to say, James B. Jones for president.
Yes, well, I thought about it. A lot of people said, I doubt, I'm old enough to run for president. I meet all the requirements. I'm at least 35 years of age. I'll be 37 later this month. Let me see. I'm a natural born citizen of the United States. I've lived here my whole life, at least 14 years consecutively. So yeah, I do meet all the requirements. I don't know. Being in politics is a pretty hard, difficult job. I mean, inevitably people are not going to like you. There'll be people who hate you no matter what you say or do. You can't please everybody. I'm sure it's a stressful job too. I don't know. I don't know if I could handle it. I want to help society. I want to help people out because right now oh boy. Right now society is in a pretty dire situation. We need people who are going to actively work to help the average citizens, the average people. We need people like that. So I don't know though. It's just I just think being in politics is a pretty major responsibility. I just don't think I could handle it though. So I don't know, but I think it's a good thing that I can recognize that. I just don't think I could handle it. But I'm not sure if I should mention any specific candidates or not, because I don't know if I should mention any particular politicians. But yes, I know I can't. There is one person who I think would be a great candidate for president in 2028. But first we got to get through our current presidential election before we start thinking about 2028. So yes, as I said, I don't know if I should be mentioning anyone in particular.
Feel free to say whatever you want in the clause corner.
Yes, okay. Well, I think I would have not the slightest hesitation in voting for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the 2028 presidential election. I think she'd be an absolutely amazing president. Yes, I don't know if she's quite old enough now, unfortunately, but I'd have no problem voting for her if she ever ran for president.
I think the problem with politics is that it's more about ego than it is helping the U.S.
Oh, you're not kidding. Yeah, I don't think I need to say any names, but yes, I know. Yes, I trust me. We're all having a pretty firsthand experience in that matter.
You and I are on the same page. Without saying any names, you and I are in the same. I know exactly what you're talking about. But an example would be if, say, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat, or vice versa, whatever it is. You have an idea. You can cure cancer. You can make world peace. Since I'm on the other party, it's not my idea. I'm going to vote it down because it's not my idea. That's what's going on in politics right now. It's horrible because they don't even really care about the American public. They care more about keeping their job and staying in office as long as they can.
I know. Well, their job is to help the American public. That's literally their job.
No,
So,
exactly.
the thing is, so yeah, I just yeah, that really bothers me that there's no compromise. Or again, I hope we don't spend the whole rest of the meeting our interview talking about this, but
No.
there's still the people aren't willing to compromise anymore. I think okay. So when I was younger, although yeah, I didn't start paying attention to politics until I was in high school when my age when I entered my adolescence. But I think it seems to me that several decades ago, when my parents were younger, the members of the two major political parties were at least willing to compromise to a certain amount. They each had their own ideas on what was best for the country, but they could still compromise on occasion, but not anymore. Now there's no compromise. It really bothers me that. So I wish we could return to a state of being a political situation where the members of the different parties could still compromise even if they did not agree on everything completely.
No, and you know what? That was the perfect way to end that part of the conversation. I love
Yes.
that. So
Okay, good, good,
thank you very much. And you and I are complete agreement on that. Another
good,
thing that
good.
we're in agreement with, and I love this, and I've had so many conversations with teachers about this, is the current condition of the education system in the United States.
Oh, yes, my mother was a school teacher for at least 20 years. And oh yeah, she had a lot of stories. So I'm obviously not going to repeat everything that she said, mind you. But she sometimes she works with some of the well-behaved students, but too often, sadly, she had to work with some of the not so well-behaved students, unfortunately. And plus, I think most of our teachers were pretty good, but on occasion she had some trouble with some of our teachers. But let me see. Let me see what else is there. Again, I gotta be careful what I say. Although actually, she's been retired for several years now. So, but again, I'm going to be very careful. Some of the parents of some of the students were not so good either. But yeah, I think. But actually, thankfully, she didn't go into specifics, which is good. So I can't reveal too much because she didn't reveal too much to me, which
Yeah.
is a good thing. But yeah, but the thing is, though, again, let's not. I'm going to be careful what I say. But some people are deliberately trying to cut funding to public education just so they can say, "See, it doesn't work," even though they're the ones who are preventing it from working. But yeah, they want to control who receives. No, wait, they want to control what is taught in schools and, more importantly, who receives the education. So no, we need to have well-funded public education. Education should be available to everyone, and public libraries too. They're trying to attack public libraries as well. So we need public libraries. We need public education. We need public hospitals as well. So yes, all of those are meant to help the populace. Yeah, we absolutely need well-funded public education. Oh yeah, so I'm sorry. I really, really, I don't want to spend the whole time telling you about politics, but this is something I just have to say. I'm passionate about this. Like the United States spends more money on its military than the next 8 nations put together. It's ridiculous. With that money we're spending on military, we should be spending on education, healthcare, infrastructure, yeah, etc. Yeah, yeah, we should not be spending so much money on our military and police. No way. It should go to hospitals, healthcare, education, housing, etc. That's how
Yeah.
I feel about it.
No, and I am in complete agreement with about that too. And that's actually what. Well, I want to stick with education for a minute because I want to talk about that. That was another issue that you had on your one of your YouTube rants, and I loved it. But with education, you're saying public education is very important. I know private schools. Some people say private schools are better. I think public schools are the way to go, and they should be funded correctly. I mean, I'll give you an example. I used to be a manager of a Rite Aid. I think you have Rite Aids down there. It's a pharmacy, CVS. I used to have teachers come in who would have to buy utensils for all their students. They'd have to buy
Oh, that's
pencils,
horrible.
pens, notebooks. I said, what are you buying it for? Oh, it's not in the budget anymore. So what do you mean it's not in the
Oh,
budget?
ouch.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that more school, like as you mentioned a little while ago, more money should be put into the education system and make kids smarter instead of, getting the fifth aircraft carrier when the next country has one.
Yep. I get what you're saying.
All right. And this is another thing that I was talking about with a teacher. I want your opinion on this because it seems like lately they've been trying to instead of getting the underachievers to be smarter, they're trying to dumb down the overachievers in order for the underachievers not to feel so bad about themselves.
Yep, I've noticed that. I don't like that either. No, because we should be lifting up. We should be lifting up. We should be lifting people up, not pushing people down. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. All right. Well, we'll go a little bit lighter now. There's some heavy
Oh
subjects we
yes.
went over. One of the things I want to talk about. I love this. My friend Catherine sent this to me on Instagram, and you write poetry.
Yes, definitely.
The one I saw recently was the Heavy Metal Queen.
Ah, okay, yes, you liked that one, I hope.
Oh, it's great.
Good, good.
So what I want, and according to what I was reading on Instagram, it said that that accompanies the Heavy Metal King. That's something you
Oh yeah,
wrote earlier.
maybe they're not actually. No, there's not really that much connection between the two poems. Actually, now that I think about it, well, I mean, I wrote a poem called "Heavy Metal King" a while back, so I just somehow the idea came to me to write a Heavy Metal Queen. Also, I mean, I don't know if they're quite counterparts. They're very similar. I mean, but I mean, no, the song when I wrote "Heavy Metal King," that was just about that was it's told from the perspective of someone in a band and how much they enjoy the heavy metal lifestyle. The other one, "Heavy Metal Queen," was kind of maybe sort of a romantic type thing. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, most people think heavy metal can't be romantic, but if you write it in a certain way, it can be. So it has to be done just right. I mean, if you want to write it as it can't be sappy. It has to fit the heavy metal aesthetic. Like, have you ever heard of a band called Angel Witch?
Yes, I love
Okay.
that.
Okay, well, Angel Witch has a song called Angel Witch on their album, which is also called Angel Witch. So that song, the song Angel Witch by the band Angel Witch, is kind of like a romantic song, actually. And let me see now. That song is kind of a little bit romantic actually too. So yeah, that kind of helped inspire me in that regard. But actually, what else was it though? Although someone comes on the video by saying it sounds almost like a song that Manowar would have written. I admit, yes, you can see there. Although actually, the song "Witchy Woman" by the Eagles was also a huge source of inspiration for my poem "Heavy Metal Queen." Actually, yes.
So how many poems have you written, and when did you start writing
Oh, quite a
poetry?
lot. Oh, I've been writing poetry for many, many years. I love writing poetry. I remember one of the earliest poems I wrote that I still have a copy of. I wrote back in college in like 2006 or something. So that's not bad. So yeah, I've been writing poems for a long time, and just about all the majority of my posts online. But actually, I wrote at the convention a few weekends ago. There was an after party and there was a band playing, and yes, that was pretty cool. But I actually asked the organizer, my friend who helped arrange my appearance at the convention, if possibly I could read a poem at some point during the after party, because I just written the poem actually, so I hadn't yet posted a video of me reading on my Instagram account. So he said that I could. Yeah, so that was its big debut or whatever. So I read it. Yeah, that was the one you saw called on Heavy Metal Queen. Turns out later on, afterwards, my friend said later on, he and I were talking. He said the band actually thought it was a great poem. They liked it so much they actually want to record a music video
All right.
with of me reciting the lines while they play. So yeah, they want to turn into a full song.
I love it. Well, you know
Isn't
what?
that great?
Brings up a great idea for me. I think the best way to end the show would be, if you don't mind doing this,
Oh yes.
reciting Heavy Metal Queen. That would be the
I
perfect.
actually don't have it memorized.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see. Wait. Just give me a second. Give me a second. Let me
I know.
see.
Yeah, take your
Let me
time.
see. I'm using my work computer. I actually wrote it during my lunch break at work. But let me see now if it's still here. I might have. Let me see if it's still on here. If it's not here, I won't be. Otherwise, I have to run up to. I have a print. I have a print physical copy. Otherwise, if I didn't save it here, I'd have to run upstairs. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't keep a copy on my work computer. I'm so sorry. I mean, I have some of the lines memorized, not the whole thing. No, it wouldn't be right. I wouldn't want to give you. I wouldn't want to give you a poor performance. You deserve a full proper performance. So I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, maybe in the future, if I ever appear on here again, I could. But yeah, I'm so sorry that I don't quite have it memorized. So it would be wrong for me to give you an incomplete performance.
Well, I have a question for you, because when we were speaking, I dropped my water. Well, I get some water. Do you want to go upstairs and get it, and I'll get some water? Would that be okay? If not, that's no big deal.
Oh, maybe. Well, actually, also, my laptop computer is down at 22% power. I mean,
Okay, then don't worry about it. We'll
oh
do
yeah,
it some
I'm
other time.
sorry. Maybe no. Of course, I'd love. Maybe again, like maybe we could wait. We could in like a few weeks or a month or so. Yeah, we could always do it again. I'm sure there's more we could be discussing.
Oh my
Yes.
God, yeah, definitely. There's
Actually, wait, hold on. Before we, well, yeah, I want to end on a positive. Actually, one quick thing I want to ask is though, my parents have been saying I need to be careful what I post online. They said I really shouldn't be discussing any social or political stuff. They said my audience wants to, well, they want to see more of me talking about the autistic experience. They want to see lighter subjects. They want to see more positive, happy stuff. Where they, because people have been calling how the show is so wonderful and wholesome. They want to see more, or maybe me sharing interesting trivia stuff. But I do share all that stuff. But how can I remain silent in the face of injustice, though? I mean, I'm trying to keep all my messages positively. I'm trying to inspire people to take action. I'm not trying to make people feel bad or make them sink into despair.
No, well,
No,
you know what?
are
I
you
love the
careful about
fact.
what I post online?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What I wanted to say was that I love you, Doolittle. You inspire a lot of people. You have a lot of great things on there. But I
Okay.
also love the fact that you're very thoughtful. You're very intelligent, and I
Yes,
could tell
thank
you
you.
put a lot of thought into what you're going
Yes,
to say.
thank you. Thank you.
So to me, I think people will love to hear it, including me. I love when you have your opinions, which are very strong opinions, and it's what you're passionate about. I could tell that you're passionate about it. So my personal opinion is that I think that you can do a little bit of both, because one, you can inspire people and be happy. The other one, you could teach people and educate them on
Mm,
and socialism, capitalism, the
okay.
education
Right.
system, so many great things that I wanted to talk
Good.
about with you.
Good.
And so I love the fact that you do a little both. And that's what I want to ask you, because as you, as I mentioned, you put a lot of thought into it. Are you a huge reader? Do you read a lot? It
I
seems like,
love reading. Absolutely. Yes. Everyone, I think everyone should read. I love to read I love to see new ideas, to have new experience to everything. Yes. I love reading. I've been reading since for pretty much my whole life, actually. I love reading.
who are some of your favorite authors?
Oh, that's a difficult decision. Let me see. Well, I mean, Tolkien and C.S. Lewis are both good, but I like Terry Brooks is a good author, excellent author. Who else is it? R.A. Salvatore is excellent, but what else? I'm trying to think of some other authors who are excellent. I'm down to 19% power of my computer, but let me see now. So, but what is it? I have no. I'm having trouble thinking. Like Terry Brooks, R.A. Salvatore are excellent. Robert Jordan, who wrote The Wheel of Time, is excellent, but I'm trying to remember all the authors I've read. Dan Brown is quite excellent. No, I see Roald Dahl is good, or well, I don't know, actually. Hard to say. I've read a lot of books by many different authors, actually, so hard to pick just one. Mm.
Do you read a lot of nonfiction as well? Because it seems like you do a lot of research on the
Yes,
different things that are
some.
going
Well,
on.
I try to read. I look up stuff online, but well, I've been reading a lot of books about like old school video games and old movies and stuff. Been reading a lot of books about that, actually, and of course I love trivia too. Any sort of random bits of trivia I love to learn. Mm.
You know what? It's funny. My fiance and she and I go to trivia all the time, and
Good, good.
so far, she and I usually come in either first, second, or third place. It
Oh,
doesn't
nice.
anytime we go, and it's because she's really good at some. I'm really good at the pop culture stuff. I know all the
Okay,
movies,
good,
all
good.
the different music, the questions. She's more good at the history and the geography. So
All
together, we
right,
make a great team. I love trivia, and
good.
just like you, if there's something to read, it could be the back of a matchbook. I don't care. I will read it because it's just I grew up like that from 4 years old all the way till
All
now.
right.
I will read as much as I can. For me, I want your opinion on this, because I love having, call me old fashioned, but I love having a book in my hand. I don't like Kindle. I don't like the Nook.
Right.
What's your
So
opinion?
I like having physical books as well.
Yeah. So I want to, you have a very diverse selection in all these different things that we talked about.
Thank
I want
you.
to talk about music, because you
All
mentioned
right.
Angel Witch. I love Angel Witch. What's your favorite genre of music?
Oh, well, see, when I was younger, I really liked classical music. I still do like classical music, of course, Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin. I still do listen, but I've become very fond of rock and roll and heavy metal recently. I like the energy, I like the enthusiasm and the power, like Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, The Doors, The Beatles, Black Sabbath, Metallica, etc.
Yeah.
It seems like this conversation might be actually, I have to go get an extension cord. So actually, I can actually go get a physical copy of my poem when I go get my extension cord, if that's okay.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm gonna get some more water, because mine fell on the floor while we were talking. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
perfect.
you probably have to edit this video a bit, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So as I was saying last, I said you have such diverse taste in
Oh,
movies,
yes.
music, everything. And you mentioned Angel Witch. I love that band.
Oh, good.
And you, so what we were talking about right before the little interruption was the different types of music that you like. You mentioned you like rock. Well, first of all, you mentioned Mozart and Beethoven. I love classical music,
Good.
and I want to bring this up because when people say to me like, classical music is so boring, I said, Watch a movie without classical music and tell me how boring that is, because
Mm.
that kind of music is so powerful. People don't
Yes,
realize
absolutely.
it's not the acting has something to do with it, but what makes them cry, what makes them scared, what makes them jump, it's not the acting, it's the music.
Yes. People had talked about like when what like, someone mentioned that in regards to John Williams, the composer. People have come to like John Williams has composed some of the most iconic music in the 20th century in recent film history. And there's absolutely no question that his music has helped some of those films to be what they are. I mean, obviously you don't want like Jaws, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Jurassic Park, just to name a few. I don't know if he was involved in E.T. or Close Encounters of the Third
He
Kind, but
was.
of course, the acting, all the actors did a great job of those movies. But yes, there's no question the music definitely helped make those movies what they are. No question about it.
Okay. John Williams is what really got me into classical music.
Good,
Growing up,
good.
my brothers and I, we grew up watching Jaws, Close Encounters,
Mm,
E.T., all the movies that Steven Spielberg did. And obviously, Steven Spielberg used John Williams for every movie that he ever did. And John Williams has done so much more. But so my brothers and I would get the soundtracks. Like one of my brothers got Star Wars, then I got Close Encounters. The
mm.
third brother got Jaws. So then we would just swap it. So I grew up listening to all the John Williams, and it was great because I live in Connecticut, so I'm in the middle of everywhere. I have Massachusetts on one side, New Jersey on the other, New York, and I go to see the New Jersey Symphony a lot.
All
And
right.
very recently, they had the best of John Williams, where they
Oh,
played
nice.
all his greatest hits, and they did, as you mentioned, Superman, E.T., Close Encounters, Jaws, the Star Wars theme, the Emperor's March, all the good stuff.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah. So that's why I'm so glad that you brought up that. And all right, question for you regarding, let's stick with classical music for a moment, because my favorite between all, I'm not a connoisseur of any kind, but my favorite is Mozart, because the guy just was so happy, so full of life, and you could see that in his music.
All right.
Beethoven, unfortunately, became deaf. He was depressed all the time, and you could tell that his music is a little bit more on the downside. Even though I love that, I would definitely have to pick. I mean, I like Chopin. I like Bach. There's so many other ones.
Yes.
Uh,
Wait, well, who did you say? Beethoven is the one who went deaf.
yeah,
You said okay.
I was saying that he went deaf, and his music definitely shows how depressed he was, because it's a lot more down. Mozart was more of a partier. He was broke by the time he was 23 or 24 years old, because he was
Ouch.
spending like crazy partying all the time. But you could sense his joy in his music, and that's why I think I like his music a little bit more than Beethoven's, even though Beethoven is great. I've
Yes.
seen symphonies of his at least 8 or 9 times over the years.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. And then you mentioned before we got cut off, because we had a little bit of a glitch, was that you like a lot of the rock music, like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith. So you like a lot of the classic rock as well.
Yes, true. I do. Yes.
Now, growing up, what did your parents introduce you to?
And see, well, of course, they obviously introduced me to classical music first, like Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin, Bach, Brahms, etc. Yes, they introduced me to that kind of music first, and I remember the Disney movie Fantasia definitely helped inspire my interest in music as well. And it's still one of my favorite movies. Love it. I'm a little sad there's never been a third Fantasia, but yes. Oh, maybe we'll have to discuss that some other point. But yeah, so I love that. So I think it was a little bit older. Of course, my parents. They exposed me. They helped had me. They listened to music from their younger days, like they said, like the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the
Mhm.
Rolling Stones. Music from when they were younger, of course. But yes, that was when I was younger. Then as I grew a little older, of course, as you grow older, enter your adolescent years, most people want to start finding forming their own identity. So actually, yes, actually, I was just the right age to be listening to music like, what was I listening to? Like Disturbed, Godsmack, System of a Down, Static X, and actually, yes, I did for a while like Korn, Slipknot, Linkin Park. I don't like those two anymore. I lost my interest in Korn, Slipknot, Linkin Park, but I do still like Godsmack, System of a Down, Disturbed, and Static X. So yes, I was just the right age to be listening to bands like that when I was in my adolescent years.
Yep. See, I'm a little bit older than you, so I grew up more with the old metal. Like I saw Metallica when they first started. I saw Megadeth and then
Oh yes,
Exodus. Pantera,
Oh,
Slayer,
nice.
Death
No,
Angel.
I do like those bands also. Actually, I have a ton. I mean, you'll have to say, actually, Metallica is definitely one of my favorite bands. I have almost the majority of their albums. I know a lot of the lyrics, their songs, but I saw Metallica a few years ago. I'm seeing Metallica coming up in August. Oh
Uh,
yeah, I couldn't miss that. I got tickets the moment they were available. So,
I got lucky because I like the early Metallica when they first came out with Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All. So I got a chance to see Cliff Burton, the original bass player, before
really,
he died. Yeah.
oh wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they opened up for Ozzy. So I love that. So you like pretty much. Is there any type of music? Let's go into this part. Is there any type of music that you do not like?
I try to be careful. I try not to say I ever hate anything, but I'm really not a big fan of country, western, hip
Mhm.
hop, or grunge. In total honesty, just never really had a fondness for those. I mean, I know other people like them, so I won't ever insult the genres. I know people like those genres, but they just don't do it for me. You know, so I do admit some of the musicians can be very talented, like Nirvana, for instance. Like as I said, I'm not really a big fan of grunge because the rise of grunge in the '90s killed off traditional hard rock. Well, maybe not killed off, but I mean, the rise of grunge in the '90s what caused traditional hard rock and heavy metal to lose popularity for that decade. And but even so, I think the members of Nirvana are all very talented musicians, no question about it. So even though it wasn't my style, I do have to admit they were very talented. That is beyond question.
That's funny that you say that because I had this conversation with most of my friends about that. That's when I started to lose interest in music, new music, I should say, because when grunge came out to me, it was just, and it's my personal opinion, just like James, people can like what they like. I just found it boring, and I found that like an example would be like they came out, and this is my opinion, and I know you're not saying this. They come out in their jeans and their teeth. Oh, we're just normal people. They probably spent 4 or 5 hours getting the perfect jeans to look like they just woke up and started
Perhaps.
playing. So that's I just didn't like that. I thought it was a little too pretentious for me, even though they were trying out to be. And
I see.
I didn't really like that. I'm more in country. I like some of the older country. My favorite would have to be Johnny Cash.
Oh
Because
yes, I do like Johnny Cash, but actually, apart from him, I really don't have much familiarity with country western at all. Really.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into movies then, because we mentioned horror movies already.
Uh,
What's your favorite genre in movies? Do you have a favorite?
well, no, not really, but I couldn't possibly choose one. Any if I'll enjoy a movie of any genre if I find it to be sufficiently entertaining and well written.
Yeah. What are some of your current favorites?
Oh, I say, well, let's see, the original Star Wars trilogy, the original Indiana Jones trilogy,
Mm,
the first two Ghostbusters movies, the first two Home Alone movies are all excellent. But what else there? Plus, of course, there are plenty of Disney movies. I like a lot of the Disney movies I watched in my younger years are some of my favorites, obviously. I don't know if I can possibly choose one. No, there's too many options, really. I couldn't possibly narrow it down to a certain number. Too many options.
Well, there's one movie I want to bring up because you mentioned it. I don't know where either I read it or I saw you in another interview where it's like that country's version of Fantasia, and I actually wrote it
Oh,
down. I want to watch that. That sounds
oh,
great.
yes. What it's called? It's called Allegro non troppo. I
Yes.
don't know. I can't remember what country it is. Well, that sounds Italian, but I'll have to look it up. Maybe I can look. Yeah, but I don't know. The thing is, though, I don't know if it's actually available in home video or not. But okay, yeah, it is. I mean, it is Italian, yes, but it came out in 1976. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know actually if it's maybe it was released on DVD, but yeah, I don't know. It's not. I've tried looking. It's not exactly easy to find actually. So yeah, so it's not easy to find, unfortunately. So that's a bit too bad. Hopefully they'll get re-released at some point. And then there was another movie that had a very similar that's also was it very was it what else is there now? So what,
Well, before you
what
go
else?
on to
But yeah,
another
yeah,
movie,
yeah, what?
no, see, before we go on to that, how did you even hear of this movie?
How do I hear it? That's a good question. I have no idea. I think I saw it mentioned somewhere, either in a magazine or on the internet. Yeah, I frankly have no idea where I first heard it mentioned. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd love to see it at some point. Hopefully, what is it now? Oh yeah, hopefully I can find it somewhere. I mean, maybe it's on YouTube. I mean, I'd rather find a proper copy of it to support. If it's on YouTube, it's probably not gonna be the best of quality. But yeah, yeah. So hopefully it'll be. Hopefully I can help raise awareness, and maybe that'll help increase its popularity again.
I'm guessing just like I do, and I don't really do it as much anymore because I really don't have the need to. But I think that I want to start because, and we're going to talk about this, is I have a large DVD. I used to have a VHS collection, but more it's all DVD now,
Right.
and I definitely want to get back into buying them because they could take streaming off and you'll never be able to find it again.
Exactly. Yes, that's one of my main complaints. That's why I still like physical media because no one can take that away from you. That's why that's one of my main complaints about streaming. The owners of the streaming service can alter or remove content anytime for no reason. So that's not good. That's a very bad thing. So yeah, I try to support physical media, but yeah, like Shout Factory or the Criterion Collection or Kino Lorber, they're all great. They still support physical media, or worse, or Rock Candy Records and Cherry Red Records. All of them support physical media. They're all great for that. And, oh yeah, what's the other one? Bitmap Books. I'm sorry. I know I'm throwing out a lot of names here, but those are all great companies. Those are all boutique providers that still support physical media. And they put a lot of care, a lot of time, efforts there. You can tell they put a lot of devotion to their releases.
Well, where I live, there's a store and it's called Vinegar Syndrome. I'm not sure if you ever heard of that.
Oh yes, I've heard of them. Yes.
They have a great store and they sell music, mostly movies, because that's what their forte is. But and they really go out and they get these old movies that were probably scratched and they couldn't find but they change it and they make it into a 4K Blu-ray, and the quality is out of this world. So I
Yes.
love doing
I've
that,
been
and there's so
upgrading.
many extras on it too on
Yes, I've been
DVD.
upgrading my collection as well. Yeah, some of the movies I've owned in many different formats. Yeah, but I've been upgrading my collection. I'm a little annoyed that some of the movies I have not been yet. I actually all of my just about. Actually everything I have has been Blu-ray now or 4K. Like I don't think I don't I think yeah, we don't have any VHS. Don't know, we don't have much, or my parents still have some DVDs, but everything, all of my personal movies are either Blu-ray or 4K. So that's great, but not everything's upgraded to 4K yet. So I'm kind of hoping it will be. Actually, there are a few movies I'm waiting for to be released on Blu-ray that they've never been released beyond DVD. I'm a little annoyed by that actually. So hopefully they'll get upgraded to a higher definition format at some point.
Do you have a lot of good places where you can buy DVDs still?
Maybe, well, actually, I actually buy most of my stuff from Amazon, unfortunately, but I did buy stuff from Best Buy when they were still selling physical media, but I don't know if Best Buy is selling physical media anymore, which is unfortunate. So we kind of have limited options. Actually, I'm annoyed. I want to support physical media as much as I can.
Yeah, no. All right. I want to talk about remakes because I heard you talking about this. And do you have any? Because for me, most of the time, a remake will never top the original, but there are some exceptions. And
Yes.
one of the exceptions that you and I are in complete agreement about is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yes, yes, definitely. Well, of course, I don't want to say anything bad about the original 1951 version because obviously that version is a classic that fully deserves to be regarded as a classic. That's an excellent movie in its own right, no question about it. But yes, I think this is definitely one of the rare times. This is one of the few times where the remake I think is I enjoy the remake more. The 1982 version of Thing is simply, I mean, it's so creepy, so suspenseful. Yes, all the terror. It's more suspense. There's actually very little blood and gore. Of course, there is some blood and gore, but not a lot. And there are of course again there are a few jump scares here and there, but again the majority of the fear and terror of the movie comes from the suspense and the mystery, the unknown, the atmosphere of paranoia and tension. Yes, that was such a great movie. And oh, like that's also like the original Alien is also a great
Mm.
example too. That
Yes.
actually the original Alien is one of the first horror movies I ever saw. I was my age had just entered double digits when I saw it, so I was pretty terrified that when I saw it. But I'm glad, but it's still an amazing movie. I can't say enough how good that movie is. Or the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, no, sorry,
Yes.
the original version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers was an excellent movie. But I have to admit, the 70s remake was absolutely good. It's so suspenseful, you know.
Oh yeah, no, 1978. Donald Sutherland, Leonard
Yes,
Nimoy,
yes.
Brooke
Very,
Adams. Such
very
a
good. Yeah,
great
excellent movie
movie.
without a
Yeah.
question. So actually, they did a lot of remakes of in the 80s of movies for the 50s, like The Blob and The Fly had
Yeah.
remakes as well.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm glad. I'm 56 years old, so I got a chance to see all these movies that we're discussing in the theater. I remember
Wow.
E.T. came out the same year as John Carpenter's The Thing, and because
Oh
of that,
yes,
everybody liked the friendly alien more than the,
yes, I
and so
know.
it did,
Too bad.
yeah.
But
But luckily,
the thing is
John
definitely a
Carpenter
cult
almost,
classic, though.
what was that? I'm sorry.
The Thing, the John Carter's The Thing is definitely a cult classic if it's not as famous as E.T. So yes.
Well, no, the good thing is that through home video, through DVD, now it's a cult classic, as you mentioned. But back then, John Carpenter almost gave up making movies because he put his heart and soul into that movie and it just didn't do well. But
I know that's too bad.
I was 10 years old when that movie came out, and I remember loving it, even back
Good,
then.
good.
And it's just, and for people who are watching this and who love movies, John Carpenter's is actually based. They're both based off a short story called "Who Goes There," which I'm sure you already
Yes, that's right. I
know. And
haven't read the short story, but yes, I know.
Yeah, but John Carpenter's is actually the short story. The thing from another world has nothing to do with that short story. They took the title,
Really?
but for the most part, I mean, they find the alien, they unthaw it, and it starts killing people. But I liked like where it becomes the host and it
Oh
turns into
yes,
different
true.
people. Yeah. So and one good thing, if you saw the movie recently, or if you remember Fox in the movie? No, sorry, Windows. He
No,
played.
I don't remember all the characters. I'm sorry. I've seen the movie only once or twice actually. So
Okay. No, the reason I interviewed the guy who played Windows. He
oh
plays
really?
Fox in the Wars and Windows in the Thing. Yeah, we talked about that movie for the longest time. And
Okay.
yeah. Well, James, I know before we get to the poem, because definitely want to end this interview with that. So we talked about the show. We talked about there's going to be a season 3 coming out. Really can't mention that. We have you back about that. We talked about your music, movies. Is there anything right now that you want to discuss that we haven't gone over?
Oh, that's a good question there. I'm sure there's so much to discuss. We couldn't possibly discuss everything in a single interview. We had to move it again, but I don't know. Oh God, I have to be careful what I say now, but I don't know. I'm hoping. Well, as I said, I'm looking. I'm always happy to meet my fans. I mean, hopefully, I'll get to make more appearances at conventions. But I'm hoping to go back to the New York Renaissance Fair in New York without a question. And um, oh God, I gotta be careful about what to say now. But well, yeah, we have to do everything we can to build a better future for us and for our children. Like, yeah, like my brother's wife, 2 young children. I have to be careful what I say now. But we have to make sure. There's an election coming up, so we have to make sure we vote in that election. But yeah, we want to build a better future so we can continue be able to have moments of peace, quiet, comfort, and security. But no, but well, I don't know. It was great. I want to thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I'm glad we got this opportunity. Hopefully we'll get to we'll hopefully we can have it do it again at some point in the future.
Oh, we definitely have to. And actually, I'm going to ask you right now, and I'm going to talk to you off the air about this. I do several shows on my channel, and another show I do is called Real Talk, REEL. It's all about movies.
Oh,
You
very
have
nice.
you have a great, vast knowledge of movies, and I would love to have you on that show. We can pick a couple
Yes.
movies and just discuss it.
Cool. Actually, yes. Well, since you mentioned remakes, I actually there was some about remakes I want to say, but I don't know if we should save that for later or not.
No, let's go ahead. If you have a little bit more time.
I'll try to keep it quick, but it seems to me they've been doing a lot of remakes recently. But I've noticed typically the remake tends to displace the original when in the public's conscious. Like for example, I think I noticed like the Bill Skarsgård version of Stephen King's It has
Yeah.
pretty much displaced the Tim Curry version of It in the public conscious. Now people think of Pennywise and It, they think of that version. Or with Dune, I think the new version of Dune by what's his name, Frank Villeneuve or whatever, seems to have displaced the 80s movie by David Lynch in the public consciousness, I guess. And I'm sure there are too. So I guess that makes sense because it's newer, whatever. But one thing I've noticed though is that the 2005 version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp has largely been forgotten, actually, whereas the 71 film with Gene Wilder is still well fondly remembered. So why is that? Why is that the new versions of It and Dune seem to be the better remembered versions now, whereas the original version of Charlie and Chocolate Factory is still remembered, whereas the new version has been forgotten? It makes you wonder why that is.
Yeah, that I don't know, but I can say because I grew up watching the Gene Wilder version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka, and I loved it. And I said, "There's no way." And I almost didn't want to give the remake a chance, but I loved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I thought Johnny Depp did a
It's pretty
great
good.
job.
Yes, I think so too. Actually, that version adheres more closely to the original novel, by the way, minus the parts with Willy Wonka's father. Other than that, though, it adheres pretty close to the original book, actually, much more so than the Gene Wilder version.
Yeah. And what was the other movie you brought up? Oh, It. I
Um,
want to say that
Stephen It.
I actually I enjoyed the TV miniseries when it came out. I saw it again. I was probably like 15 or 16 years old when it came out. I saw it on TV. I enjoyed it, but I liked the actual remake better than I liked the first one better. The second one wasn't as good, but the first It with Bill Skarsgård I thought was tremendous. I thought he did a fantastic job
Yes,
playing Pennywise. It had so many great scares in it. The characters were
yes.
funny.
Okay,
No,
good.
what's your opinion on that?
Oh, I liked it. I saw both. Thankfully, I saw the Tim Curry version before I saw the Bill Skarsgård version. They're both excellent. But no, I have to admit, no, they did a great job with the new version. Bill Skarsgård was amazing as Pennywise, no question about it. And yeah, and I think everyone did a pretty good job of it too. Yes.
Well, getting back to your poetry, I have to say this, and I was thinking about this. You said you have a lot of poetry. I think
Yes.
you should do two things.
Oh,
One,
yes.
even if it's self-published, come out with a book of all your poetry
Mm.
and do an audio version of it. I
I
would
don't think I've
love that.
I don't know if I've written enough poems to fill a book yet, but I actually, if I could compose music, I think I have enough to make a full album. Actually.
See, well, you're already making a video. Now, can we
Yes.
talk about that? When's that video going to be coming out?
Oh, I have no idea. I want to speak with my friend about. I'll speak with him sometime soon, so he and I can work out the details of it.
Well, once again, it's another reason to come back to the Claus Corner.
Yes. Definitely, definitely.
So, is there like I know we have a lot to talk about. We discussed a lot of different things on the show. Talk about music, movies, your
Yes.
views on education, politics. I mean, we there was a lot of things we got in, and I'm so glad to have you on the show. And one of the things that I love in is your attitude. You have such a
Thank you.
great attitude, and what is your philosophy in life? And,
Oh, hard to say.
well, no,
Um,
because you actually said something, and what you said was that life is too short not to do the things you want to do.
oh yes, exactly. Yes, life is too short to not do what you wish to and the things you enjoy doing or some of that. Yes, exactly.
That
It's
is a
like no one dies wishing they spent more time at work, you know?
hence. Let's go back to the 32-hour work week, people. I
Yes,
love it.
yes, absolutely.
Well, James, it was great having you on the show. I
Of
know there's a
course.
lot of people who cannot wait to see this.
Good, good. Yeah,
I
so
am
please make sure you send me a link after you when you're ready to post it.
I'm going to, but as promised, we have to end the show on James B. Jones doing his version of Heavy Metal Queen right
Oh,
here
yes,
on the
thank you.
Claus
Oh,
Corner.
okay. Just give me a moment. Yes, I'll have to look down. I won't be able to look at the camera. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. That's fine.
Raven hair and ivory skin, eyes that shine from a light within, silver eyes that gleam at night, gazing with the gift of second sight. She is the most magic woman whom I ever have seen. She'll forever be my heavy metal queen. At her command, people live or die. Her voice, like thunder, cracks the sky. By her hand, nations rise and fall. The light and darkness both obey her call. She is the woman from my deepest dreams. She will always be my heavy metal queen. The mountains tremble from her magic might. Her foes all flee and die of fright. The sea shall boil and the sky turns black. A blood red moon starts the attack. Clad in leather and razor sharp steel, she crushes her foes underneath her heel. With her power and might, she shall reign supreme. I love her so, my heavy metal queen.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad you like it. Yes.
James, that was great.
Good,
Thank you
good.
very
Thank
much for
you.
being. And hold on for a minute. I'm going to do the outro, and then I want to talk to you.
Oh, very good then.
That wraps up the latest episode of the Claus Corner. A huge thanks goes out to James B. Jones for taking time out of his extremely busy schedule to be a guest on my show. Thank you very much. I also need to thank editor extraordinaire John Bristol of the award-winning Element Productions for always doing a superb job editing the show each and every week and making it available to all on YouTube. I am also extremely grateful to Rob Bull and Joseph Timothy Quirk for all they do to make my show available on several Connecticut radio stations, as well as Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Thank you both very, very much. And lastly, but definitely not least, I need to thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Suckers!
All of a sudden I hear, brim, brim.
What's a diaphragm again?
Ha! We caught one. They're supposed to be weird.
Oh, yeah, no. If you say so.
I've always wanted to be in a movie.
Waiting around for autumn, I was wondering.